Hi, I'm Lalata from Let's Speak English, and in today's video I have got for you some reading tips that will improve your score in IELTS reading test. So before preparing for your IELTS exam and learning different strategies and tips, it's very important to change your mindset, focus and understanding of the test. The IELTS reading tips that you will see in this video will work and must be applied to all question types no matter what exam you're taking. So the types of reading questions that you will see in your reading test are sentence completion, multiple choice questions, matching sentence endings, diagram label completion, and so on and so forth. So let's move on to the first tip. It's always paraphrased. Now this is the most important IELTS reading tip. It's always paraphrased and the text can tell you if your answer is 100% correct. So what does this mean and how does this work? It means that any correct answer will need to choose from the options. There is always a paraphrased fragment in the text that says absolutely the same. So it will assess your ability to understand the same or similar ideas hidden behind different wordings and expressions. So that is tip number 1 for you. And before moving on to the tip 2, do not forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Let's Speak English. Tip number 2 is skimming. It means reading rapidly to get an overview. So skimming is reading rapidly in order to get a general overview of the material. So here is an overview. So this is what you do. Read the first paragraph attentively to get an idea of what the text is all about. Then pay attention to the first few sentences of every paragraph and always read the last paragraph thoroughly, as this normally contains the summary. Tip number 3 is scanning. Scanning is reading rapidly in order to find specific facts. So the questions in IELTS reading test will often include dates, names, numbers, and new terms that are part of your answer. So it is always nice to underline important specific information and numbers. That will really help you. And it's also very important to be fast, focused and alert. Moving on to the next tip, tip number 4. Focus on ideas and not the words. Reread and then rephrase it in your own words. Explain to yourself what you have just read. This is extremely important because the answer you're looking for has definitely been rephrased too. So that's tip number 4 for you. Tip number 5 is try out the reading exam strategy. Read the text first to focus on the information. This way, you keep one piece of information in your brain. So your brain will most likely struggle to keep the question in mind and search for the answer at the same time. So if you skim the text rapidly and discuss what you have read in your head and then go to the question and its option, you should get the answer easier. Tip number 6. Find proof in the text, underline and number. Find the exact location of the rephrased answer in the reading passage. Compare it to the keywords. Underline the rephrased line in the passage. Then write the number on top of the question that is answered by that line. It's as simple as that. Tip number 7. Don't panic over unknown words. Use the context instead. Try to look around the new words. Maybe the content of the sentence can help you deduce whether it's a positive or negative, or a person or a job or an animal or a feature. Tools like prefixes, grammar will also help you a lot. So if this doesn't help, don't just panic. Move on to the next question and later return to the confusing parts. Tip number 8. Don't leave any question unanswered. Never leave any box unanswered. When you know there's no time left, just guess and write something. Tip 9. Improve your reading speed. So here's a brief guide to improve your reading speed. Increase your reading gaze to include 3 words at a time rather than bouncing one word to the next. You could also use a pointer to increase speed. And make sure not to sacrifice comprehension for speed. Tip 10. My favorite reading tool is the Zap Reader. Make sure you use free web-based tool. You don't need to buy any software. To use it, just upload the text you want to practice and then start chunking it out into 3-word blocks. This will really help you improve your reading speed. Tip number 11. Choose your material carefully. So what does this mean? Although using past IELTS reading exam is a great idea, but they can quickly become boring and laborious. So I suggest choosing subjects you have interest in. That way you are far more likely to stick with the book and read more. Tip 12. Don't sacrifice retention for speed. When you improve reading speed, it's common for retention to fall as we blaze through the text. To avoid this, you can apply the 6 question words to each chapter or paragraph, like the who, the what, why, when, where, and how. That is tip 12 for you. Tip number 13. Organize your reading time to focus. Now, countless students, myself included, struggle with staying focused while reading. Unless the material is truly captivating, I find my mind wandering all over the place. So, in order to avoid that, set a timer and read for that duration. 30 minutes is a good time to start with. Tip number 14. Improving reading comprehension. So, you can use all useful IELTS reading tips to improve your IELTS score. Practice is one of the most important keys to successful IELTS reading exam. So you can look up some British Council reading practice tests or official IELTS practice reading test. These will really help you practice a lot. Tip 15. Active reading. This tip is more for students taking the paper-based test. When reading actively, mark your test paper. Underline important phrases and points that will help you understand the passage or some of the context of reading. So those are some of the tips for you, and I hope these tips really help you clearing your reading test with a good score. Do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, Let's Speak English.